afternoon.
Good afternoon.
David?
Hey, Mike, this is first time now this team has gotten above 500, first time since you've been here. Is this kind of a sign that they're taking what the changes you've made and there's kind of a progression here and a step being made?
Really, we've played 3 games, and I think, my view is, the things we're emphasizing during the week, they're definitely showing up on game day. So that's really the way I view it. The energy and the emphasis of the fast starts, our guys have done a really good job with that. The pace of the game, the communication adjustments. We've been in 3 distinctly different football games where, a lot of adjustments, 3 different opponents, as far as the challenges they've given us. So I just look at it as we're off to a good, solid start.
I don't know if you guys script your first amount of plays, whatever, but the last 2 games coming out the way you have, has that kind of followed the plan of what you guys wanted to do the night before when you're discussing opening games?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like anything in this game. How much time do you spend on what you clearly emphasize? You can't emphasize everything. You can't, spend. You only have so much time to really highlight. Certain things, and you always want to continue to build off your strengths and work on the things that didn't go so well. But yeah, we put a little extra time into the start of games this year. It was something we didn't do very well last year. So it's been a focus, and our players are doing a great job with it so far.
Tempo seems like a big part of that these past couple games. How do you practice tempo as an offense here outside?
Well, we've been sticking with the competitive drills. The competitive drills that team periods that you have in the training camp. We've continued those. We have 2 on our Wednesday work and 2 on our Thursday work. That's more than I've done in the past. So that gives you a chance to really work on those. The cadence and the up tempo drills. We do 2 minute every day. So up tempo is a big part of our training for both sides of the ball. And I think the more the offense does it. Obviously, you need it, but it also helps the defense. So I just think we're doing a little more of it than we've done in the past.
Anybody coming up short-term IR this week like Neville?
No, you have nothing. Yeah, I have nothing to report.
Mike, what's your read on how prepared this team is to handle success and stay focused?
Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's definitely one of our building blocks. Handling success is something that. I always felt it's the biggest challenge in life and in this, NFL game and everything that goes around it. So every level of success that you have, there's different devils, and when we'll talk about an excellent, obviously division win, home opener, a lot of love from the media. My God, we all got toothaches this morning, except me, of course. But it's. No, but we'll talk about it. And like anything, I think it's important to talk about it as a group. But it's just the rookies. I always just make sure the rookies get that message. This is the first time that they'll go through this, and obviously it was exciting coming out of AT&T Stadium last night.
Is it harder these days to deal with success because of social media and the amount of coverage and the way everything's just saturated?
I agree. I think it's a big challenge. There's so many avenues and and avenues that I personally don't really participate in. So, I rely on others for that. But, it's definitely something you have to be very cognizant of.
What do you look for individually? You never had a Twitter or IG?
I'm sorry?
You never had a Twitter or IG page?
No, you serious? No.
You mentioned your young players. How are they contributed to this early season start?
Well, they've had opportunities that probably we didn't really anticipate that they'd have so far. Look at Nick Ralston. He came up, played very well in his limited snaps on special teams. So it was good to get Jabril Cox in there. So and then you look at the second-year players too and what they're doing. So it's a long year. I'm hopeful as we move forward, these young guys will continue to grow, and then as we get some of these veterans back from the IR situations and so forth, I think it'll definitely gives us a chance to make us stronger as a football team.
How did Osa play for you yesterday, and how has he played really from the start of the season?
Osa? Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he's definitely getting better. You can see his command is as far as responsibility in the rush plan and some of the things that he's doing, and making the calls and adjustments, and Seems very comfortable in there, and I think clearly when he was promoted to the starter and sub there, at the end of training camp, he has taken every opportunity, has taken advantage of it.
Pretty dramatic reversal between run production and pass production on the opener versus the last two. What do you attribute that to? Is it just imposing the will a little bit? Is it just taking what the defense gives you?
I think it's definitely a couple things. Obviously, it was game plan. As far as you look at matchups and just really how did they play us? There was an uncertainty, particularly in normal D&D, just because of what they showed in the first 2 weeks. They were vastly different. So I thought, Kellen and, offensive staff did a really good job just reacting to how they were playing, particularly early, and, established the run. And, we had that slow period during the third quarter, but did a really good job staying committed to it. And, I thought both backs ran extremely hard and thought the run blocking unit had a heck of a day.
Randy had no sacks last night, but his pressure was pretty noticeable. He drew 3 holding penalties. What was your views of how he performed last night?
Pressure player, impact. I thought he definitely impacted the game. I thought our defense really did a great job, controlling. I mean, the 7 points there, they're in the first half. Obviously, they had nothing to do with it. So, but it's a different offense to prepare for. Just with the RPOs and just all the things that they were doing. But I thought both Randy and Mike had really good nights.
At the end of that half last night, obviously you let the clock run out. When you look at the decision, how much did the defense, as well as they were playing, factor into that decision to let it run out there?
Well, I mean, that's really what the decision was about. Clock management is clearly a defensive type decision. You really, you have the 2 options there. Obviously, you had 2 timeouts left. You play it straight by the numbers, or there's other variables involved that I'm not going to really get into specifics. As far as matchups and some of the things that we were talking about on the headset, but we decided to take the conservative approach. I think it was clearly, reflected on, not taking the early timeout on 2nd and 3rd down, and, the potential one there on 4th down. But I mean, if you look at the defensive calls and how we played that situation, I was very comfortable with the command that our defense had in that game, and just not even giving them a chance to, maybe put us in a backed up situation. And, we know what happened, earlier in the game in a backed up situation. So clearly a conservative decision at that point in the game for myself.
You talked a lot about analytics and how that can inform your decision making. In that specific situation, is that at all in play? Like, are you getting some sort of analytical, data that tells you should do this in this situation, or how does that work, if at all, in that?
I mean, I think it's really cut and dry. I mean, when I say play it by the numbers, I think the clock, when you talk about clock management, you look at the down and distance field position, obviously score a game, and timeouts available, their timeouts available, and potentially where the ball is going to be, where will your drive start. Those are, to me, by the number of variables. I think we all are aware of those. That's the clear facts of any situation in the game of football. But there's other variables that each opponent that's in tune with, and that's what we talk about on the headsets. I'm sure we're all aware. And as far as particular matchups, momentum, all those things. Those are the other variables that go into account in those decisions. So you have 2 options there. Play it by the numbers, which would be taking the timeouts, or you play the conservative approach, and I took the conservative approach in that situation.
When you look at the 4 sacks that Dak took and the fumble that he lost, what's the key for him balancing the patience extending the play, because he has that ability, but also the pocket awareness?
Definitely. I mean, that's, when you work on the scramble drill and you're trying to extend plays and you're making an emphasis, which is a huge part of our game today. I mean, you look at these athletic quarterbacks all the way through. So we're not only working for Dak and our pass protection unit and our perimeter players, but we're also working the other part of it for our defense. So, and that's another discipline that the quarterbacks in this league have to have. So, when can you extend it, and when do you have to throw the ball away and not take a hit? So that's to me, that's all part of the execution of the game. And I think we'll clearly just continue to work on it, and because the 1 touchdown was clearly a reflection of that. So, but then that's the tough part of the game.
There were no injuries reported after the game. Does that change or the same?
No, it came up pretty good. Got some guys with some bumps and bruises, but still we're pretty clean coming out of the game. Was so far so good.
Are there any changes to the COVID-19 protocol?
No changes to the COVID-19. Both players.
We talked about, obviously how well the defense has played. But you look at the last 2 games and the job Quinn has done, been able to put out a good performance on defense, losing different guys in charges and different guys hurt at different positions against the Eagles, Micah, and then, Jalen. Just talk about what Quinn has done, how he kept his defense going.
I mean, he's done a phenomenal job as a coordinator. I think when you look at coordinating, it has really 5 key responsibilities, and obviously utilizing your personnel is one of them. And Dan doesn't blink. Dan's been through it as a head coach, and we got this COVID factor and an expanded roster and practice squad exempt, COVID exempts, and I think really all 3 coordinators, and John is. Foster probably has the biggest challenge, because he's playing. He's had different lineups on the punt team every week. So I think all 3 of our coordinators done a great job of just, hey, this is who we have, and you'd like to have more competition during the week for guys to be up on the 48. That's been a little limited the last 2 weeks, but I think our guys are doing an excellent job. We've had creative game plans. We've really gone in with a proactive adjustment mindset, because not knowing what exactly the opponent's going to do. We're going to be in kind of that format this week with Carolina. They have a lot of scheme. It's the personnel is clearly, they've flipped their roster since the last time the Cowboys and the Panthers have competed. So and that's really what September football gives you. So I think our guys are doing a great job with it so far.
You're always going to stress forcing turnovers for defense, but is the benefit of that enhanced even more when you have an offense playing at a high level like you do right now? I mean, the benefits of getting those turnovers and even a greater impact on the game than usual?
Definitely, because I mean, when you get the 2 touchdown leads, or you get the 20-point lead, their offense has to come out of their base plan, and they have to open it up too. And if you look at our secondary and our pass rush, we're built for pressure on the quarterback, and we got guys that when they get their hands on the ball, they're going to intercept the ball. I think clearly our focus in the offseason, we felt that we really need to improve the ball skills in the secondary, and I think we knocked it out of the park in that area with our personnel department and the guys we brought in here. So, but yeah, I think when we get into those situations, it definitely plays to our strength.
Do you feel turnovers come in bunches as well? Do you feel once you start to get them, it's a snowball?
I mean, history does, and it's a confidence. It's just no different than throwing touchdowns. It's this game is so much about confidence. The rhythm and timing and the pace of how you play. Scheme's important, no doubt about it. And but the energy and the tempo and the pace that you play with is, you could make an argument that it's more important.
Have you had a running back duo that has complementary styles the way Pollard and Elliott do? When you think back with Lacy and Starks and maybe Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great examples with Jamal and Aaron, and Lacy and James. Deuce McAllister and Ricky Williams back in New Orleans. So I've been fortunate to be around some really good duos. I mean, I really love the way these guys complement each other. They just like last night, it was a downhill run game approach, and they both got their shoulders square and ran downhill all night. So, and then obviously have the ability to bounce the football and make plays on the perimeters. But I think our guys are off to a great start. I mean, these first 3 games have been impressive.
You hear a lot of times the running backs say, I get better the more touches that I get. When you have that situation that's developing with these 2 guys, what's the challenge of that? Or is it not a challenge?
Yeah, I think it's all part of it. I mean, I don't think you've ever met a perimeter player in the NFL that wasn't any good if he didn't want the ball. I mean, I think they're all wired that way. They better be. I mean, that's part of the makeup of all the perimeter guys. So we understand that. But I mean, since the day I got here, I told you clearly this offense is built around making the quarterback successful. And Dak's ball distribution the first 3 weeks has been excellent. So we just got to keep getting the ball distributed, whether it's through the run game, whether it's in the pass game, and I think with that we'll be the best that we can be on offense.
Last night, Dak described the win as a statement win in a complete game because he said it wasn't just a close one, it was one that he won resoundingly. Do you feel it was a statement win?
I think you can clearly say it's a statement win. I mean, it's your first division game, and it's an opponent that you look at the the history and the past is. The games in AT&T Stadium have been tough. From my understanding, obviously I haven't been part of them, so I think you put all that into. I'm a little naive that way. I'm more about the now. So we felt like we had a really good plan. Our players did a great job. Throughout the week, but more importantly, they were charged up, ready to go last night. They played extremely hard, and watching the tape today, trust me, we got a lot of work to do. That's just not coach speak. We got a lot of things we can do better, and with that, that's exciting. So, and we need to get that done in a short week versus a hot opponent in the Carolina Panthers.
How do you get that point across when it's, hey, good win here?
How do I get it across?
Yeah.
That's coaching. That's why you have team meetings. That's why you have leadership councils. That's why you have one-on-one relationships, and to me, it's all part of the everyday process.
How accelerated is this week, in a short week, Monday night games? Where are y'all as opposed to where you would normally be?
Well, we're in game plan meetings. We didn't spend any time on last night's game this morning, so we jumped right in it. We had, the offense, defensive staffs. Bones is ahead also, but we were in here Saturday, Sunday doing more advanced preliminary game planning. So our guys are just starting third down now. So we're probably a couple hours behind where we normally would be on a Tuesday. So we did a lot of preliminary work, as I stated. So biggest thing is tomorrow and Thursday. The practice we'll do a mock game type practice tomorrow, and then Thursday will be reduced in shells. So, and then once we get to Friday, we'll be back on a normal schedule.
How do you evaluate Tyler Biadasz' season so far, just kind of where he is?
His season? He's doing a lot of good things. He's obviously in command. He's had 3 diverse game plans. You just look at the run game plans all 3 weeks. The recognition of defenses and the things he's had to deal with as a young center. I think he's doing a really good job with that. He's had a couple plays we need to eliminate, and had a big challenge last night in pass protection. They had the 2 big guys inside, and that was a matchup that we were focused on going into the game. So he's getting better.
When Dak didn't get in on that fourth and one, is that one of those tapes where you send to the league and say, "Can you explain this to us"?
I don't know if you can send any more tapes. That's part of the reason why you challenge on Monday Night Football. You figure you have every damn angle you can possibly think of. So, and they still couldn't find the ball. So, and that's really what it come down to. That was the explanation. They couldn't see the football. So
They said they whistled it dead the first time because clearly we saw him reach through this. So I don't know how they couldn't have found the ball.
Well, my understanding was the videos that said there was no view of the ball. You had the view of him up top where it clearly looked like his body.
He went low, and then he came back and went up with the ball up here. So maybe they couldn't find the ball when it was low because you couldn't see where the ball was. But when he reached it,
well, when he reached up, I think they were saying the whistle was blown.
that's what they were talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was talking about the initial when he bounced and slid to the right. Yeah.
You talk a lot about the unscouted looks that you get early in the season. When you're 3 games in, or when does that kind of end? When do you kind of get a read on teams and when teams get a read on you guys?
Percentage goes down in week 5 has been my experience. So it usually holds up, weeks 1 through 4.
Following that, go ahead. Okay.
Besides that sneak with Dak, there were a couple of times he kind of stuck his nose in there on keepers. You find yourself holding your breath at all on that, or is you just not really worried about it?
That's part of the way he plays. It's I think just like any type of decision where your quarterback's exposed. You grade that decision and you talk about it, and he understands his importance to the team. And, I don't want to see him rush 9 times for 6 yards. We don't do that anymore. We had a one back duo that there was no back there, so we don't want those plays either. But so, like I said, we got some things we need to clean up from last night, and we just want to be smart with him in space for sure.
After that 4th down Dak play, I believe the defense forced a 3 and out immediately afterward. There's been a number of instances this season where something bad might happen in a certain phase, and then another phase will pick up the other one. Have you noticed that? Has that been a key part of maybe the fabric of this team where they can handle in-game adversity well?
Well, I mean, but also, I think it's part of why you go for it there too. I mean, you got them backed up, and you're playing at home, the crowd. I mean, those things are all part of your, your thought process too. So, I mean, you see, I can't remember exactly where we got the football at, but we got the football back, went right down and scored. So, I mean, that's good analytics. So, but if that's what you call it, I don't know. But yeah, no, that's good team football. Yeah, I mean, you have them backed up, but yeah, that's how you do it.
Let me ask you about the guys on short-term IR, but they're not ready to play, but are any of them closer to practicing? Gallimore, Joseph, and Kuhn?
I mean, Gallimore's, he looks good. I mean, he's doing a lot more, but yeah, I don't really want to get into timelines, but they're all making progress. They're here every day. I'm trying to think who's close. Yeah, they're all probably a couple of weeks away at the earliest.
Joseph any closer, or he's
No, he's a few weeks away for sure. Yeah,
Where's Tristan Hill in this process?
doing well. He's doing well. He's pup. He's PUP, so he clearly won't be ready before the bye.
will you see Donovan at all this week?
I don't anticipate Donovan. I know he's working with Britt tomorrow. That's the plan for him tomorrow. Meeting with the trainers earlier.
How did Golson hold up for you last
Good.
night? Especially
Thought he played good. Did a couple good things on special teams. So just for a big guy and punt return, that it's good. It's good to see him out there. So I don't know exactly what his total reps were, but it was I was a little nervous about it, frankly. Just he didn't have a whole lot of work leading into this, but it was good to get him going.
Speaking of big guys, Connor McGovern at fullback, was that part of the red zone?
Like that, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Catch pass.
No, yeah, easy. No scheme questions, but no, and I'll tell you what, and really it's a couple things. I think it's the creativity of Kellen and his staff, but also he's playing well. We want to keep him involved. I mean, he's played good football when he was in there. He played well when he was in there for Zach. He's had a good camp, so I think it's important to recognize that.
Can any big guy do that, or you got to have a certain, be able to move to you just can't move any offensive lineman to do that?
I mean, you got to have the lateral movement, and you can see on the linebacker too. I mean, and we talked about it all week. Hey, they're not going to take you. They're not going to take you head on. So he actually did a really good job getting in there and covering them up, and also he created a nice cutback lane for Zeke.
On the fourth down play, or fourth quarter play where Mike was chipped and went down on, is that a chip that just caught him the wrong way, or is that part of the game that you'd like to see be cleaned up in any way?
I think it's part of the game. I mean, you have to be able to help. And I'm talking clearly probably from an offensive perspective, but I think you have to have those type of protection help components, and he'll be better from it. He obviously didn't see it. He wasn't expecting it, and that's a big part of it. Just the recognition of when it can happen. So, but yeah, he caught him just right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.